Hello there. Today, we're going to talk about the 7 twin flame signs that only happen to twin flames. So in other words, this is going to be a good way for you to tell if you met your twin flame for sure. And of course, also to give you a sneak peek on some of the cool shit that you're going to experience. So some of these signs you might not have experienced yet. So tuck this video away. Remember this video, save it to your favorites or whatever. And then later, in a couple months or, a year, whenever it starts happening, you're going to go, oh yeah, there was that one video where that guy was talking about all the weird shit that's going to happen. And it's absolutely transformative. And make no mistake, these signs, all of these signs, if you get all of these signs, these don't really happen to other people, you guys, that are on any kind of a spiritual experience. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about with you, they do happen to people who are on some kind of a spiritual journey. But if you get all these signs, then you're on a twin flame journey, my friends. So buckle up. Here we go. I'm going to list off the signs real quick, and then we'll go back and talk about each one of them. All of these things happened to me, and they've happened to all of my twin flame coaching students, over 7,000 people that I've coached, twin flames. And these happen to everybody, guys, everybody that I've helped. So here we go. Number 1, ego death, also known as dark night of the soul. It's very painful. We'll talk about that. Number 2, something that I call the weird energy shit. Right? Because it can include Kundalini, and it often does, but there's some other things going on that you could be experiencing other than Kundalini. So and we're going to talk about that, because some of the things that you experience, they only happen with your twin flame, like energy between you two. And you're going to learn a lot too in today's video about what a twin flame is. So I think you'll find this video very helpful in many ways. Number 3, becoming psychic, or if you already had some of that kind of stuff going on, it's going to be drastically increasing your psychic abilities. Number 4, something that I call unity consciousness. Well, I don't call it. I shouldn't say that. I didn't come up with that. It's called unity consciousness, right? And that's where the word union really came from, right? Union. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that one. Should be pretty good. Number 5, your whole life situation coming apart at the seams, things falling apart, your job, your marriage, your relationships with your friends and family, your living situation, everything falling apart, and then coming back together and reassembling into something new and better. That's a big one. Number 6, got my notes here. Your twin flame comes back only when a specific internal shift takes place. And this is going to tie in actually with number 4, which was unity consciousness. And this is a big one, you guys. This number 6 right here, you feel some kind of a deeper shift inside, and your twin flame comes right back. And they don't have any idea that that happened. Only you do, but they come right back within hours or a day or two, maybe a day or two, right? But right away, they come right back after you have some kind of an internal shift. That's a big one. That's a really big indicator that this is your twin flame. Number 7, a whole bunch of repeating number patterns and other interesting synchronistic events. So number patterns like 1111, 222, 444, 144, 1111 again, 111, 28, 28, 27, 27, 34, 34, just like random duplicate numbers. And then also, 555, right? 888, 111, 1111 again, 222. It just keeps going and going. It got like so many numbers. It's ridiculous. And then other like weird synchronistic events are going on. So let's go back to number 1, the dark night of the soul, which in ancient Zen spiritualism, traditional spiritualism, the Zen traditions, right? So real spiritualism, genuine spiritualism, they call it ego death. So it's the same thing. Dark night of the soul, ego death, same thing. This is your spiritual awakening. Everybody agrees that twin flames are the same soul. If you look around on the internet for information about twin flames, you're going to get a whole bunch of different opinions about what to do about it. But the one thing everybody agrees on is what a twin flame is. You are the same soul, right? And they'll all have kind of different ways of explaining how that might work, right? Like the soul splits, or you're the same soul vibration, or something like that, right? But however they explain it, the basic tenet is always the same, which is you are the same soul. Some way, somehow. Everybody. Now, this is interesting. Everybody agrees that twin flames are the same soul. And that's always been. That's why the word twin flame was invented in the first place from day one. It was to describe this experience where you have met somebody who is the same soul as you are. That's why we have the term twin flame, right? So everybody says that. But what's interesting, guys, everybody's giving you different advice about what to do. And I always like to point this out. This is very important, guys, because I know a lot of you are searching for answers on the internet. You're trying to figure out what to do. You're looking at somebody like me. I'm with my twin flame, guys. We're together. She's making live streams on my YouTube channel with me. I've personally coached over 7,000 twin flame students. I've got a whole bunch of people on my YouTube channel that are married to their twin flame, with their twin flame. There's my Twin Flame Success Stories playlist, just thousands of people that I've helped be with their person, with their twin flame, right? So you're trying to figure out how to do that. And I'm over here going, wait a minute, everybody's giving you a different prescription. They've all got the same description, but a different prescription. Everybody's telling you to do something different, to end the running and chasing with your twin flame, but they all agree what a twin flame is. How can that be? Think about it. Think about it, guys. How can this be? If we all agree what a twin flame is, what's the problem? Why is there so much conflicting information about what to do, guys? Think about it. So again, this video gonna be very different. Gonna be very different today, guys. Stick around. I've helped a lot of people get their twin flame to come back. This is your spiritual awakening. Your twin flame is your soul. It's true. They really are. And when you meet them, it triggers an awakening of consciousness. The soul is consciousness, guys. You are body, mind, soul, right? Body, mind, soul. It's one of the most basic things. Everybody knows that. So the soul is consciousness. The mind is thoughts, emotions, telepathic energy, like metaphysical energy, Reiki, chakras, right? Now, dark night of the soul, again, has always been referred to as ego death in the Zen traditions. Again, genuine spiritualism, the Zen traditions, not the pop culture stuff on the internet, not the healing stuff, right? There's a lot of people on the internet talking about all this healing that you got to do, Guys, that's fine. Psychology is fine to do. Healing is fine to do. But that is psychology. That is the mind. They are trying to work this through the mind. Thoughts, emotions, and you got to heal your thoughts and emotions, healing them, working with your thoughts and emotions, fixing them, working on your inner child, right? Psychology, that's the mind. Your twin flame is your soul, though. Maybe now you know the secret, how I've been able to help so many people, you guys. 7,000 students. You got to work this through the soul, guys. You got to align with your soul. But what's happening during ego death, also known as dark night of the soul, is the ego mind is breaking down, guys. You see, we humans, we live in a world where everybody, the way that we live our lives, we all believe, and we're born into this world where everybody believes that you are that ego mind. You are a collection of retained thought and emotional patterns that you've been accumulating since you were a child, right? And by the age of about 7 or 8, everybody's personality kind of like amalgamates. It becomes concrete, and this is who you're going to be for the rest of your life, basically, right? And that's why, you know, again, a lot of the people on the internet, they give you the whole healing thing as the solution, but that's psychology. That's the mind. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just what that is, guys. They're trying to fix the mind. And then to make everybody as confused as possible, they put the label spiritual over it. They say that that's spiritual. That is not spiritual, guys. And it never was. Genuine spiritualism, traditional spiritualism, reminds you that what you really are, who you really are, is beyond mind and form, beyond the ego personality. This, again, collection of experiences, stories, emotions, a history of me, of self, right? Like if somebody was to walk up to you on the street and go, "Who are you?" You would tell them a story. You would give them a breakdown of, yeah, I don't know, your job and your family and your friends and maybe places you've traveled to and beliefs that you have, right? But those are all thoughts and emotions. But your twin flame is not that, guys. Your twin flame is the soul. The soul is beyond the mind. The soul is consciousness. It's an experience. And that's all. You can't think your way into the soul, right? Healing is fine, but guys, healing does not cause self-actualization. You already are a soul, but it's the thinker and the feeler, the thinker and the emotions, the emoter, the emotional body, the emotional entity, right? Eckhart Tolle, who everybody recognizes is basically, you know, like the modern day Buddha, right? Eckhart Tolle. He calls it the pain body, the emotional component. But then there's also the thinking too, right? That's all kind of part of the same thing, the mind. And chakras and metaphysical energy, right? Body, mind, soul. So the mind, again, thoughts, emotions, chakras, metaphysical energy. And this is the breakdown of that, so that the consciousness of your soul can emerge and you experience that as this deep remembrance. And it's very, very painful. They call it dark night of the soul, the obsessive thinking, the sense of meaninglessness that you feel. You feel this sense of meaninglessness, right? And I mean, that kind of makes sense because you're losing what you believed to be was your identity of me, of self, who I am. That's like, it's like being torn apart. That's why you feel these things. Literally, that's what's happening to you. Consciousness is exploding inside of you. Consciousness actually is you. This is a remembrance. But for the time being, at the beginning, it's very, very painful. This ego death, dark night of the soul. The old self, the old entity is breaking down. And that's what you're going through. This usually happens. So it's usually most people, they meet their twin flame. You have this little bubble phase at the beginning. It's all beautiful. It's all perfect. Your twin flame, they feel like home, and you guys are getting along very well, and everything is picture perfect. This usually lasts anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. It's called the bubble phase. It's right at the very beginning, right after you meet them, right? And it's all perfect and awesome. And it usually only lasts for 4 to 8 weeks, right? Some people it can go longer. Most of the time it's 4 to 8 weeks. Now, after the initial breakup, when there's finally the big breakup, right? When the big breakup finally happens, after the bubble phase, that's when Dark Night of the Soul happens. And you can't eat, you can't sleep, you cannot function. I could not do basic things like eat. I could barely function at all. And there's this sense of desperation, meaninglessness, and there's this weird obsessive thinking that you cannot turn off. And I would be sitting around just like at my job even throughout the day. And I would just feel this this urge to cry, wash over me. Like I couldn't make it stop. Like it was happening to me. And I would just need to go run to the bathroom so I could go cry. Me, a grown man. And I can't. It's like crying uncontrollably. It's so fucking weird. But that's the way it was. This went on for 6 months. Now, that's the Dark Night of the Soul. I also spent some time kind of setting the stage to explain to you some basics of spiritualism, right? Body, mind, soul. What spiritualism really is. It's consciousness. It's remembering who you are beyond the mind as consciousness. That's spiritualism. That's real spiritualism. And this is according to all the great spiritual masters, by the way, like Eckhart Tolle or Buddha, but also Jesus or Yogananda or Alan Watts, Ram Dass, Krishnamurti, all the great spiritual masters. That's what they're going to tell you. That's spiritualism. You remember yourself beyond the mind. You are consciousness. So now let's get into the rest of these signs. Now that we kind of have some basics understood here, some context, the rest of these are going to make a lot more sense to you. Now, at some point, you're going to experience weird energy surging through your body, and you might not be experiencing that right now, but you will, especially if you kind of try to let go of your twin flame for a while. You could sign up for my paid twin flame coaching program. I'll help you to do a very good, very thorough detox where you let the person go. I know that sounds hard, but you let the person go. You got to let them go and kind of move on, like you're done with them. You got to make yourself do that. You got to pull away, right? And if you can do that for long enough and replace the twin flame hysteria with meditating, lots and lots and lots of meditating, guys. Meditate 3 times a day. Make a lifestyle out of it. Read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Read that book. Get started today. Stop chasing your twin flame. You got to stop chasing them right now. And replace all of that activity, all of the twin flame frenzy. Looking on the internet for information about twin flames, desperately searching. You got to stop doing that and replace it with meditation and slowing down, guys. You got to slow down and learn to meditate and do it a lot. And read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Start watching his videos. Watch 1 or 2 of his videos every day. Go to his YouTube channel. Okay? And stop trying to figure this out. You can't think your way into the soul, guys. Again, my paid coaching, it's not expensive. It's not thousands. And it's extremely comprehensive. I don't breadcrumb you with information. I give you the whole thing up front, guys. And then when you're done watching the videos, you can talk to us. So go check that out. It's very inexpensive. So most of the time, though, the reason I'm telling you this is because most of the time it's after you start doing that stuff that you're going to get all this weird energy stuff going on, including Kundalini, right? So Kundalini is an experience where you feel this very intense surge of energy that starts at the base of your spine, at your tailbone, and it goes all the way up your spine and out your crown. And it like jerks you around uncontrollably. And you feel like you're being pulled up into the sky. It feels like anti-gravity. And it feels like this giant, like for me, it was like this giant elastic band that was attached to my body and like pulling at me up into the sky and pulling me around and like jerking my body around uncontrollably. Also, when I was with her, I felt the energy traveling to her. That's a twin flame sign right there. That's a specific thing that you might experience. The energy traveling to your twin flame. And if you want to know why that is happening, go find my playlist on this YouTube channel. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel called Twin Flame Science. Go check that out. Watch at least the first 2 videos. Watch at least the first 2 videos on that playlist. I highly recommend that you also go watch the Twin Flame Myths video. That's kind of the first thing that you need to do, guys. If you want to get on this journey proper, if you want to get your twin flame to come back, you need to get rid of all the false information about twin flames. You got to deprogram all the bad information that you've been looking at on the internet. I'm not sorry for saying it, guys. Some people get really mad when I say that. But guys, truth is truth. There's only one truth, and nobody gets to decide what that is. So the first thing you need to do is you got to get unplugged from all the stupid myths about twin flames. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, stop chasing your twin flame. Number 3, learn to meditate. Read The Power of Now. Right? So that, or sign up for my paid coaching. It's very effective. Everybody that takes the program, they get results, guys. They get results. So the weird energy that's going on is part of this process of awakening, right? So you are feeling this energy traveling between you and your twin flame. That only happens with twin flames. Other people who experience Kundalini who have not met their twin flame, historically, it's all the other stuff. It's the feeling pulled up into the sky. It's the feeling like pulling at you and like jerking your body around uncontrollably. You could get tingling in your fingers, tingling in your third eye, heart activation, which is like crazy intense love in your heart. It's so intense. I've never experienced anything like it before or since. It's so intense that I thought I was gonna like pass out from the intensity of the love. It was crazy. Like I really thought like something, like it felt good, but it was like so intense. I thought maybe something bad could happen. Like my body could shut down or something. Like that much love. How can the body even take that much love? It was insane, guys. That's never happened before or since. I mean, and I felt love before in my heart, but not that fucking much. It was just, it was nuts. It was nuts. So all this weird energetic stuff is happening. And again, if it's not happening, again, go try the steps out that I just listed off, right? Unhook from the myths, stop chasing your twin, learn to meditate, read The Power of Now. Do that for a month or 2, and you should start having these experiences, guys. You will. If you met your twin flame, you will. You will. You'll feel this weird energy coursing through your body. It is the coolest thing. Now, what's happening to you is you are body, mind, soul. And remember, we talked about the mind includes thoughts and emotions, but it's also all the metaphysical energy and your chakras and this kind of thing. Well, the mind gets its fuel from the soul. You could think of body, mind, soul, the three-part triune being, as a machine. And the mind is like an engine. The mind is. And it's got all these different components. Chakras, telepathy, thoughts, emotions. That's the mind component. It's like an engine. And then the soul is like the gas tank. It's like the fuel tank hooked up to it. Hooked up to the mind, right? So when your consciousness is exploding like this, right? So again, you met your twin flame. Your twin flame is your soul. Your soul is consciousness. Consciousness is therefore exploding. That's what happens when you meet your other self, your twin flame. Because that consciousness is exploding, there's like an overabundance of fuel. So the mind is like hyperactive. That's why you get the kundalini and the energy pulling you around and jerking you around, and the heart activation and all the other weird shit that's going on. And which brings me to the next thing, psychic. You're going to become very psychic. And if you were already a little bit psychic, honey, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now, what most people experience in massive quantities is intuition. Usually when people think of psychic abilities, they think of telepathy. But telepathy is just one type of psychic ability. Right? So telepathy is where you can hear things and see things in your mind's eye, in your third eye. But psychic abilities can include like different forms of intuition, different forms of clairvoyance. Okay? Like sometimes I can taste and smell things. Like I'll be given information that way. Very strange. If something bad is about to happen, like one time, I almost got into a car accident. I chose not to get in the car, and I found out later that the person, they almost got into an accident. It was like a close call, but I didn't get in the car. Another thing, and this is the most common. Everybody experiences this, everyone, bar none, and it happens a lot. This happens in copious quantities. It's called intuition. Intuition is this weird knowing. Like I just know something about the future or something about another person or stuff like this. And the mind is thinking about it like you could be asking yourself, yeah, I know this thing is going to happen, but how do I know that? Right? How could I possibly know that? But it's this weird knowing. It's this weird, eerie knowing. But notice there's this knowing going on. You just know something at this deeper level. But then there is also thinking going on. There's knowing and thinking. So those are two things. Right? Because they are coming from two places. The thinking is coming from the mind. The knowing is coming from the soul. This is a soul's journey, guys. You're not really on a twin flame journey, technically. This is the true spiritual journey. So, the mind is trying to understand the knowing, but it can't. That's why the mind is confused. Like, you'll get the intuition, and you'll be like, what? How could I know that? But that's not really you who is asking, how could I know that? That's the mind. It's just, again, like I said earlier in the video, we believe ourselves to be a mind. We think that we are the mind, right? That's what people on earth have all been brought up to believe, that we are this mind. But you are not. You are not that which is thinking. That's not you. You are the knowing. You are the consciousness. That information is flowing through intuition. So you're going to become very, very psychic. Again, if these things aren't happening, try out my system, right? Let go of the twin flame myths. Let go of the bad twin flame information. Stop chasing your twin flame and learn to meditate. Or again, sign up for my paid coaching. Guys, do something. Do something, right? This is the best thing that's ever happened to you, believe me. believe me. And if you're still chasing your twin flame, if you're still looking at all the twin flame mythology on the internet, you're wasting your time, guys. You're wasting your time. There's better things for you to do. And if you do these things, by the way, that I'm suggesting, your twin flame, they'll start talking to you. They could have you blocked, dude. They could straight up have you blocked. You can't even get a hold of them. They'll start talking to you. They'll get out of bed and they'll start talking to you. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about in a minute. The next thing, I call it unity consciousness, right? So let's do this. I'm going to do point number 4 and 6. I'm going to combine those two right now. So unity consciousness, this is where the word union comes from, okay? It's not a twin flame term. It is not a twin flame term. It is not a relationship status with your twin flame, guys. It's not. Neither is separation. You need to stop using those words that way. That's not what those words mean. Twin flames took those words, they stole them. Twin flames stole them. They stole those words, they took those words, and now everybody's misusing the words on the internet. They're using them in the improper context. Now, I made a video about this. I'll link it down below. It's called Twin Flames, Separation Consciousness, Unity Consciousness, and Detaching. When you find out where those words really came from, you're going to have the biggest aha moment of your life, my friends. So go check that video out later. I'll kind of give you an explanation in this video of what those words are really all about. So for you to understand unity, we have to talk about separation first. This is not a twin flame term in a spiritual sense, okay? You got Eckhart Tolle always talking about how the mind is separate. It believes itself to be living in separation. And he's not talking about twin flames, guys. He's probably never even heard of it. Rupert Spira, another very prominent, popular teacher of genuine spiritualism, not the hype, not the pop culture hype stuff. It's all healing. All that stuff on the internet, they call it spiritual, but it's psychology. And psychology is fine, but these people are just confused, guys. And I'm not here to put anybody down. I'm not here to bash anybody, but guys, you're never going to shut down the suffering and the cycles and the back and forth with your twin flame if we don't get this stuff straightened out. If all these people that are telling you to do all that stuff, if what they're telling you is true, where's their twin flame? Number one, again, I'm making live streams with my twin flame on this YouTube channel. I am. We're good, guys. Number two, like there isn't any result with any of their students. And another thing, all the great spiritual teachers use that word. Why are they using that word? And they're not talking about twin flames. Ram Dass, he talks about this all the time, how the ego mind views itself as separate from the world. Rupert Spira, he calls the mind, ego, the separate self. Okay, there is a correct way to use these words, guys. Again, truth is truth. Nobody gets to decide what the truth is, guys. Okay? These words have real meanings that were in use long before twin flames came along. Long before that, guys. Okay? These are not relationship status with your twin flame. That is absolutely not what these words are. All right? They're not stages, okay? They are states of consciousness. Now, the mind is duality. The ego mind is duality. It works on duality, right? So, plus, minus, hot, cold. I like it, I don't like it. I agree, I disagree. I feel good, I feel bad. So, emotions, too, right? All the great spiritual teachers, real spiritualism, they're always going to tell you the mind is duality, the mind is separation. It believes itself to be separate from the whole universe. There's me, and then there's that whole universe out there. Or there's me, and there's you. That makes a we. We are separate. Now, unity, which is where the word union came from, unity is where you experience yourself as one with all. And it's not even one with all, technically. So when I've experienced this, and I experience this on a daily basis now, but it's not that I'm one with everything. It's that this is all there is. Everything, me, the trees, the sky, the clouds, the cars, the other people, everything. That's one thing. That's all of it. That's just one thing. That's the best way I can explain it. When you have this kind of deeper spiritual experience, they call it unity consciousness. Okay? Again, from the Zen traditions, these words, they've been in use for a long time, hundreds of years or more. They're not twin flame terms, guys. What I think happened was, mid 20th century, 1970s, 1980s perhaps, somebody on a twin flame experience figured this out. They went, wait, if my twin flame is my soul, I got to do soul stuff. This is just transcendentalism. I got to transcend the mind. And if I transcend the mind, my twin flame comes back. How about that shit? Wow, it's just unity consciousness. So at some point, I think what happened to you guys is people on a twin flame experience were using the words correctly, right? So states of consciousness, that's the way that they were using the words, because that's the way these terms have always been used. These are teachings, these are pointings. But then here comes the internet. Oh, goody, the internet, guys. The internet strikes again. It always does this. Everything, it doesn't matter what topic it is either. It could be politics or finance or health. That's a big one. People argue about what's right and what's wrong. And then the internet, it'll get a hold of something and like mix it all up, and it'll take the original thing that people were talking about and mix it all up and pass it around, and then nobody remembers what the original conversation was. You know what I mean? It's like a game of telephone. Do you remember when you were a kid, the teacher would sit everybody in a big circle, like 15 or 20 kids, and the teacher would whisper in one kid's ear like a little short one-sentence story, right? And then each kid would have to whisper the story around the circle, and then finally when the story got back to the teacher, it was something completely different. That's what's happened with these words, guys. I call them the true twin flame teachings, actually. Separation, union, and detaching. We'll get to detaching in a second. I call these the true twin flame teachings. Guys, the true twin flame teachings have been right under your nose this whole time, guys. These words we're using. Why do we do that? Why don't people just say, oh, well, we broke up, or we're not together? Why separation? Do you know anybody in the world that does that? We're in separation. And then when they come together, it's, oh, we're in union. And I got to do healing to get out of separation. And then we're going to be in union. I got to detach from my person. Can you imagine your grandma talking like this about your grandfather? Like, I got to detach so I can get out of separation with your grandpa. And then we're going to be in union. You'd be like, Grandma, are you off your meds? What's wrong with you? Nobody does that. Only twin flames do that. Why? Because they're using the words wrong, guys. These words have correct spiritual meanings. Never, ever, ever use these words as a relationship status again, guys. I'm calling on you today. Stop doing that. That's not what those words are. Unity is when you remember that you are your twin flame at a deeper level, and it's so deep that it's beyond mind. The mind is what perceives separateness with your twin flame. Me and them, that makes a we. We are separate. That's the mind. And the mind is not bad for doing that. That's what the mind is for, actually. It's not broken because it's doing that. But that's why you perceive it that way. The mind is separation, but the soul is unity, guys. You experience it And you can't figure out what I'm saying either. It's a knowing. It's a knowing. And some of you, you may have already experienced this knowing, this intuition that I speak of. You may have already experienced that. You may have already had a deep knowing that this person is your twin flame, or that you're gonna be together. You just like know it. And you're like, how do I know that? Yeah, that's intuition. That's what I'm talking about. But at some point, you'll experience unity with your twin flame to the point where it's not unity with them. You go beyond that. It's just, there's no with. There's no, it's just me. There's not them and I, it's me. It's just one thing. Okay? That's unity consciousness. That's where the word union came from. And by the way, detaching is what happens when you do that. Because when you remember that you are one with your twin flame, again, not with technically, right? Not with your twin flame, it's just you, right? When you remember that you are one, then there is nothing for you to get attached to in the first place. You remember that you were never attached in the first place. That's detaching. That's what that word is. Let's move on. Number 6, again, this is the part where your twin flame comes back. They'll unblock you guys, just straight up, they'll fucking unblock you for no reason. Well, seemingly for no reason. But this happens when you experience one of these shifts that I'm talking about. You'll get out of bed one day and you'll be going about your day, and then at some point you'll be overcome with this sense of oneness, where again, it's not me and the trees and the sky is one thing. That's all of it. It's just one thing. There's no sense of separateness. It's just I am, and that's all. I'm not one with everything. I'm not one with my twin. It's just me. It's just one. Okay? It's very deep. And that's the best I can explain it with words. You got to experience it for yourself. But when this happens, boom, your twin flame, they go, oh, I got to talk to them so bad. They'll start blowing up your phone within minutes or hours. At the most, a day. They will, when you feel this kind of shift, they will start blowing up your phone. They will start blowing up your phone, guys. And it happens right away. So if you have one of these deep shifts, and then where you experience unity, right? And then within 24 hours, your twin flame blows up your phone and they want to talk to you really bad, and they like even tell you I love you and stuff like that. It's your twin flame for sure. Because again, they've got no idea that you just experienced that internally. They got no idea. Only you know that that happened. And that's when they want to talk to you. So you had this spiritual soul experience, and within a few hours, this person who is supposed to be the same soul as you are is talking to you suddenly. Maybe it's because twin flames are the same soul. And again, you don't think your way there, guys. This is not a journey of the mind. It's a journey of the soul. Number 5, I don't think that needs to be explained very deeply. That was your life situation falling apart, things coming apart, things getting rearranged. You could be losing your job or relationship. Things are changing. And then over the course of a year or two, things fall back into place and they're even better. It's like having a whole new life, right? So it's amazing. So again, follow the steps, get rid of the twin flame myths, stop chasing your twin, learn to meditate, right? Read Eckhart Tolle's book, and these beautiful things will happen. The very last sign, the numbers and synchronicities, I don't think I need to explain that. It happens. The number signs, they're everywhere. The weird synchronicities, they're everywhere. Enough said, guys. You're on a twin flame journey. Thank you very much for watching. See you later.